Her fingers lingered on the doorknob, the trace of her perfume drifting down the hallway like a memory already fading. "I won't be long," she murmured. It was a kind of phrase that should have sounded ordinary, maybe even reassuring. But that evening, something in her tone felt hollow, too light, too detached. It wasn't meant to comfort me. It was a reminder that my comfort no longer mattered. I sat on the couch, the rim of a cooling coffee cup pressed against my hand. My eyes lifted toward her, and I replied quietly, "Take your time." Then, without meaning to, I added, "There's nothing left here for you." My voice stayed steady, almost unnaturally calm. She hesitated only for a heartbeat, her shoulders tightening before she finally stepped outside. The door shut with a sharp, deliberate click. The silence that followed was crushing, proof that she hadn't just walked out with her keys. She had taken what little remained of us. But the unraveling hadn't started that night. It had begun months earlier, in tiny fractures that seemed harmless on their own. Late hours at work. The new habit of carrying her phone everywhere, even into the bathroom. The secretive smile she reserved for glowing screens I never saw. At first, I turned the blame inward. My job had consumed me. Maybe I hadn't given her enough of myself. Maybe I'd made it too easy for her to drift. But instinct has a way of gnawing until you can't ignore it. And mine grew louder with each passing day. The first undeniable break came 3 weeks ago. She told me she was meeting a friend. An hour later, her location pinged from a hotel across town. I told myself it had to be a glitch, an error, anything but the obvious. Believing otherwise meant admitting that the woman I'd built my future around was already gone in every way that mattered. That night, when she finally came home, late again, I was sitting on the couch, eyes fixed on the television, though I wasn't watching. Her heels clicked softly against the floorboards. "You're still up?" she asked, surprise hidden behind practiced casualness. "I was waiting," I answered evenly. "For what?" Her gaze slid past me as she placed her purse on the table. "For you, or maybe just the truth." Her composure cracked for the briefest second before her rehearsed smile returned, pitying and dismissive. "James, not tonight. I'm exhausted. Where were you?" My tone didn't shift. "With Anna," she replied far too quickly, too smoothly. "Anna," I repeated, eyes locked on hers. "Right." Her confidence faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said slowly, rising from the couch, "that I know you weren't with Anna." The air grew heavy. Her hand darted for her phone, fingers trembling. "You've been tracking me," she whispered. "No," I said. "Your phone betrayed you. Maybe by accident. Or maybe fate decided it was time I knew." After that night, the house turned into a cage we shared. We drifted past each other like strangers, speaking only when necessity forced us to. Neither of us gave the truth a name, but it buzzed between us, sharp and undeniable, like a live wire. And then came the night. She took her time getting ready, more carefully than she had in months. Foundation blended just right, perfume clinging to her skin. That black coat I once loved draped over her shoulders. "I'll be back soon," she said, and I gave a reply that felt rehearsed. After the door clicked shut, I went straight to her nightstand. The hidden phone was exactly where I'd suspected it would be. Its locked screen spilled the truth, a trail of messages that mapped out a life she'd been living in secret. Flirtatious notes about meeting again, plans to meet at the same spot that night, lines assuring him that no one suspected, and a message that hollowed me completely. He's pulling away. I think he suspects something. I just want this finished. Finished as in me. I didn't explode. I didn't hurl the device across the room or empty her closet. I sat on the bed and scrolled through every deceit, every small betrayal, until the idea of trust felt dead between us. She returned well after midnight. The refrigerator's low hum filled the kitchen, while I waited beneath a lone lamp. "You're still awake?" she snapped this time, irritation thinly veiled. "Yeah," I replied. "Wanted to make sure you came back all right." Her expression sharpened. "You're acting odd." I set the second phone down on the counter. Between us, color drained from her face. "Where were you?" I asked, My voice measured, but edged with meaning. Her hand hovered over the device, frozen. You went through my things? She breathed. No, I met her eyes. I went through what we share, and I found him. Her composure broke. Tears fell at once, the kind that carry guilt. James, don't, she began, but I cut in softly. Don't tell me it was accidental. Don't call it a mistake. This wasn't a slip. This was choice. She crumbled then, voice shaking as she offered explanations that sounded thin the longer she spoke. Dinners that stretched into nights, a loneliness at home, how he made her feel alive again. The word alive hung in the kitchen after she stopped talking, a word that felt like a betrayal of everything we'd built. By morning, I'd packed 2 suitcases and set them by the door. Mine stayed put. Hers did not. Where am I supposed to go? She whispered, panic seeping through. I'm not the one leaving, I said, sipping coffee. You are. Please, James, can't we talk? She begged. We talked, or she tried to make me listen, reminding me of shared history, of what we constructed together. But the foundation she kept invoking had been fractured, buried under the weight of her choices. I filed for separation, froze the accounts, and changed the locks after she collected a few essentials. She walked away with a suitcase, an apology with no substance, and a hollow idea that she'd won something by choosing him. He didn't capture her love. He inherited the remnants of what she'd broken. Weeks later she rang. I just wanted to see how you're doing, she said quietly. I'm fine, I answered honestly. Better than I have been in a long time. I made a mistake, she whispered. No, I corrected gently. You made a decision. Silence stretched between us, loaded with everything that would never be shared. Her voice came again, fragile. So there's really nothing left for me? I closed my eyes, felt the months of grief press down, and let out a long breath. Not here, I said. Healing doesn't announce itself. It starts small, a quiet morning coffee that isn't bitter, nights when the bed feels like space instead of absence, the first unforced smile at someone you don't know. Sometimes I think of her, not with rage or sorrow, but with a cool curiosity you reserve for a book you once loved that betrayed you in its last chapters. She had said she wouldn't be long. I told her to take her time, and this time I meant it, because time at last belonged to me.